What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? And welcome to this week's edition of the Hot Seat. So excited to be in the building. My boy Taylor Made Speaks is in the building. Taylor, what is going on? What's happening?
What's going on? Everything is happening. I mean,
Everything is happening.
things are turning, direction, people are pivoting, everything is going on. I am so excited to
Yes.
be here
Yes.
on your program.
You know what, Taylor? Hey, listen, this is not about me all the way. This is about us and sharing with these people some amazing, incredible information. So I hope when you guys come in that you go ahead and click that SHARE button. Let your communities know that you're in the hot seat with us. We have a fantastic segment to share with you guys on tonight. So come on in, bring your peoples with you. Let's have this conversation tonight. Taylor, listen. I know your people normally come in here and they are ranting and raving and supporting you in the background. Taylor, tell the community about yourself. Who is Taylor Made Speaks?
Well, TaylorMade speaks. A matter of fact, we were talking about earlier personal branding, which is so amazing. And somebody said, you are full of energy. So one thing
Yeah.
that I can say is that if I speak into your life or you get around me, I'm
Mhm.
gonna bring that energy.
Yes.
I uplift people. I speak positive words into your life.
Yes.
I also coach on toxic relationships, right? And so if you're in a toxic relationship, reach out to me. Maybe I could shed some light on your situation.
Listen, I love it. I love it. And that's one of the things that you're actually known for when you talk about branding. It's all kind of facets when you talk about branding from a personal and a business perspective. And so you got to know what it is you want your audience to know about you, and you got to stay connected and stay plugged in and give them what they want. You already told them that you have
Absolutely.
something for them. You got to keep giving it to them. You got to keep letting them have it because that's what they want. They there for it all. Period.
Absolutely.
So listen, tonight is a great conversation. Taylor and I have been behind the scenes kind of going back and forth about this topic. And that's what I love about being in the hot seat. We have phenomenal relationship topics that we discuss every single week. And so we are welcoming in all social media platforms. Everybody is in the building tonight, including Instagram and TikTok community is also in the building tonight. So welcome everybody to the show tonight. So we're gonna get into the topic. I am your hostess with the mostest, P. Coffee Brown, and I am super excited to be with you guys tonight. So we're gonna have a great, great conversation. Listen, have you ever considered whether you were needed or wanted in a relationship? Do you got to have both? Can you be without one or the other? Does it even matter when it comes to your relationship? We're going to talk about that tonight. Needs and wants in a relationship. Do you have to have it all in order to have a relationship, or can you have one or the other? What makes sense? So, I've been doing my research. As you guys always know, I always do my research and I get in there and start digging deep to kind of find out what the world says about it versus what Taylor and I say about it. Both of us are certified coaches, so we doing our thing. And so when we have these conversations, it's not just off the top of our head. These are legitimate experiences that we may have had in coaching or on that path to add value to people relationally. So this particular instance is interesting because I was sitting, and as I was doing my research, I was thinking about the movie The Best Man Holiday. You remember that one scene where Jordan was talking with her boyfriend? I think his name is Brandon or Bryce, something like Brandon or something. Whatever the guy's name, Brian. Brian is his name. And she was talking to her boyfriend, and they were outside of Lance and Mia's home at the time. Of course, that's just the names of the characters, their character names. That's not their real names in life. So Jordan is Nia Long, so on and so forth. You have to that. So I'm not gonna get into all that. But anyway, so they were outside and she had embraced him and shared, how their physical experience was the night before. And she was talking about how amazing he was and da 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 da. And so they were conversing, and he all of a sudden says, I feel like you don't need me. And she said without hesitation, I don't. And immediately When the words left her mouth, she thought about it and his countenance just dropped. So as he was pulling off, he said, "Hey, should I just text you and let you know I made it safe or whatever?" She's like, "No, no, no, call me," trying to clean up the terminology that she used. But it makes sense though when you really sit down and you process this whole thing. Do you really need that person or do you want that person? And it made me fast forward and start thinking about my parents. My parents have been together for 50 years. 50 years. And my mom, and everybody knows this, my mom had taken deathly ill, and we were so scared that she wasn't going to make it. It was so much going on with her medically that we were all scared. But the kind of fear that my dad felt was like, oh, it was I can't even articulate it, Taylor. It was just a challenging time to see him that frail. But the beauty of it is that he needs my mom. He doesn't just want my mom, and they've been together for 50 years. He doesn't just want her, he needs her. And my dad said so, he said it so eloquently. He said, while I want your mom to be here, I want her to be healthy, strong, and I need her to stay alive. I can't imagine what my life would be like if I had to live on this earth without your mom. And I was like, now, you know what? That's a powerful statement. And I wonder if it would apply to somebody who's just getting in the saddle with someone. What do you think, Taylor?
Wow. I mean, you know, that's deep.
Wasn't that a good segue, though?
Good stuff. That is really deep.
It is.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where you have to take what's important to you, and then you have to measure it with what works. And I think sometimes we take what's important to us, but what works doesn't match. It doesn't add up. And so these are just some of the things that we got to take into consideration.
And you know what? And another thing too, I often sit here and I think to myself, like, can you come across somebody who you meet and you just know from their energy, from the exchange that you have with that individual, you know what? I have just realized what my life has been missing, and it's you, you know, and you find out that that purpose person is your purpose person, and you're supposed to be on a journey with that individual. And it's powerful because you didn't realize it until they showed up in your hemisphere, and you're like, wait a minute, I've been missing something, and it's you all this time. It's been you. And so I think when it comes to need and want, we got to unpack that. What does it mean to need somebody? Like in your thoughts, Taylor, when you think about the word need and a relationship, what does that translate into?
Right. I think, and some people, when it comes, if you take me personally, there's few things that I need. I need affection, right? That's something that I need. Now, some people might not need affection. Some people are really been raised non-affection. They never seen their family or their mother and father give affection to each other, so they can take it or leave it, right? But on the other hand, that other person might need that affection. So it's like anybody would tell you, you have to get to know the person, and you have to figure out what you guys need from each other.
Mhm.
And if that fulfillment can't happen, then it's to be honest with you, if it can't happen, then you can pretty much say this relationship might not work.
Yeah,
Because and the reason why I say that, because you know wanting and needing is two different things,
correct.
right? I think wants are great, but wants doesn't have to happen. you know I can want a Ferrari, which is fantastic and is
Mhm.
great,
Mhm.
but I might need a car.
Right. And it won't be the need
and it,
won't be a Ferrari.
and it won't be a Ferrari, right? So I think that you can compromise on your wants, I
Mhm.
don't think compromising on your needs is possible.
Now that's good. That's good that you brought that up because that is a very true statement. Wants could be aesthetics, locale, like you said, the type of vehicle. It could be some kind of adjustment you want a person to make with their body, so on and so forth. It could be a lot of, and mostly a want is external, it's not internal. So when we talk about need, and you said there's certain things that you need, kind of give us an idea of what that actually translates into when you talk about specific things that you need in order to have this person in your life for the sake of a relationship. Let's talk about what a need looks like. So, one thing is a need for autonomy, honesty, um, to feel appreciated, to feel loved and cared for, um, to believe that you can depend on this person, that your secrets are safe with them. Those are needs relationally. The need for the individual to reciprocate the freedom and the respect connected to the relationship. What are some other things that come to mind when you think about the need aspect of a relationship when it comes to the needs?
Yeah, I think I need your security. I need to feel
Mm,
secure in this relationship. For some people, I need you to be organized. Sometimes people are all over the place, and sometimes you
mm.
need that
Wait
organ.
a minute. Stop right there. Wait a minute. Stop right there.
Yeah,
So you're saying, and let me make sure I got this right. You're saying that sometime a need is encompassed in a want as well. That kind of goes hand in hand, parallel.
absolutely. I think that hmm, great, great, because the thing is if you're designed a certain way, and that's why it's important to choose the person that you match with.
Hmm. Hmm.
For me, you know I think my need and my compass, like for instance, if I'm looking to be with somebody, uh I don't cook, period.
Hmm. Hmm.
Period.
Hmm.
So one of my requirements, and everybody have requirements, right? You might say,
Correct.
oh, how can that be your requirement? Requirements come in all different facets.
Correct.
Some people are required to have 401k. Some people are required to have a transportation. Some people are required
Right.
to have a house, right? So we all have our requirements that we
Hmm.
require. For me, I do not cook, so I'm looking for a woman that cooks.
Hmm.
Period. Now,
Makes sense to me.
do I need to eat? I do.
Yeah.
This is not, do I want to eat? I do, but I need to live too. So
Right. Right, right. The need for food is a survival situation. I'm not just saying I'm not just saying this off the top of my head, but if I don't eat for after a few days, I'm gonna be, it's gonna be a situation to where.
Absolutely. So if I'm meeting, and I've met some people that don't want to cook,
Mhm,
period. And guess what? I can't get mad, but I can't force that need on them.
mhm,
I realize that,
mhm.
hey, this relationship might not work,
Right,
right? And I
right,
have to find the person for me that loves to cook and
right.
that will love to fulfill that need.
Or they might not necessarily love to cook, however, they're willing to cook. They might
Willing.
not be like a lover of making food, but they might be like, "You know what? I think I need to eat as well." So that wouldn't be an issue if I had to get in there and burn a little bit in the kitchen.
Absolutely. And I mean, like I said, it's give and take.
It
If
is.
you fulfill that need, what needs am I fulfilling for you, right? Maybe that need is, you know, you don't want to mow the grass,
Right.
and but guess what? The grass needs to be cut.
Period. Period, honey. Period. Listen, listen. You tell them the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So help you God. And with it being 100 and something degrees in Texas, I don't even want the husband out there in that foolishness. But babe, you know what? Let's pay somebody that this is their expertise because it's kind of like way, way, way too hot to be outside playing in the yard at all. But if you insist on going out there now, I ain't gonna fight with you about it. I just gonna make sure you're hydrated and stuff. But yeah, you're right. And it's funny because when you think about a need, you there are some specific things that and I love how you brought up what you're just not willing to forfeit. You know,
Mhm.
it's that concept of thinking to say this is something that I have to have. It's regardless of how you think or feel, regardless of your opinion, anything like that. I remember this one guy that we were engaged and we just knew it was going to work out. And then there was this certain a specific thing that he had a need of, and I was like, "Oh, I ain't gonna be able to do that one." And of course, I can't disclose it on here because he's one of my social media friends on one of my platforms, and I don't want to disclose his personal business like that. But we had a long, extensive conversation after that, Taylor, and I was like, "We're not gonna be able to do this because I'm not gonna be able to provide this one thing that you said you cannot be without." And interestingly enough, in all the conversations that we'd had over the course of time that we were together, I never, unless I wasn't paying attention, because he told me, and I believe him. He said, "I shared this with you before." And I said, "Maybe I didn't think it was a need. Maybe
Right.
I thought it was something that we could there was a like you said, a compromise or a negotiation on that particular item." And that may be why it wasn't in the forefront of my mind. But as we got towards, getting ready to solidify everything and getting ready to make the shift from being betrothed to actually the name changes and all that kind of stuff, we started having these intense conversations. And when he went back and he shared with me again that particular thing, I was just totally outdone, Taylor, because I was like, I do not remember you saying that. And he was like, "No, I shared it with you and I told you." And I was like, man, I can't believe that I was like, "No, I can't do that. That's something that I wouldn't be able to provide for him." And so interestingly enough, it is so important that you know what a person's needs are. There's some ladies that have needs for certain aesthetics and things like that, and they just don't want to go without those things. And they have an expectation of you as the guy to take care of those certain things. Well, if you're
Right.
not willing to take care of those certain things, you don't have to say no. And you might feel like that's a want, but for her, it
Right.
could very well be a need. And that's another thing too, is we have to give people the respect to identify what their need is. We can't say what a person's need is. We can assume, and we can go by Maslow's hierarchy of needs all day long, to determine that.
Absolutely.
However, it may not be as simple as that. It may be something a little more in depth that that person requires relationally.
Absolutely.
And we want to be fair to the person that we're dealing with. We don't want to be unfair. So let's talk about these wants, because I get the need aspect, and I love how you brought up the cooking thing, because you're not the only son of God, one of the sons. You're not the only son that is requiring a lady to step up and get in that kitchen and do some things in the kitchen ministry. So you're not the only one. You're not by yourself out there.
And I mean, it's also give and take, right? For me,
Absolutely.
I love cleaning, so I don't have so that it's easy for
You're
me.
all right
So
with me, Taylor. You
so
all
if
right with me.
so
You're gonna be all right with me.
if you're cooking, doing the dishes, cleaning up, making sure that I set the table, like those things I love to do. So it's not like I'm requiring you to cook and then you got to do the dishes and that's a woman's job and I don't do nothing else and I just sit and get served. No, I'm cleaning afterwards, right? It's a team. And I think that the older that I've gotten, I realize that. See, when I was younger, I'm gonna be honest with you, I could care less if you cook or not. And
Mhm.
and I'm glad that I remember this point. See, the thing is that hmm, there was nothing when I was younger, there was nothing that I needed a woman for.
Mm.
I wanted a woman for sex, but I didn't need her for sex.
Mm.
I didn't need her for cooking because guess what? I ate out all the time. I didn't need a lot of stuff. I made my own money. I did my own thing. I mean, why do I need her? If I wanted to hang out, I just call one of my friends and we hang out. You know what I'm saying? Like, what was it about a woman that I needed her in my life. But as I
Mm,
gotten older, I realized that I do need a companion. I need somebody that I could come home to and I could just be vulnerable. I can talk about that my day was tough. Yeah, can I find friends to do that? You
mhm,
can.
mhm.
But as I got older, I don't want to share that stuff with my friends.
Absolutely not.
I don't. And I don't want somebody that I really don't like to cling on me. You know, like you get into these other scenarios and these other
Situationships.
yeah, and I don't want none of that. So yeah. So there's things that I do need from a woman the older that I've gotten, right? And so so they become valuable to me,
Mhm.
right? If I don't need you, there's no value.
And that's interesting. When you think about want, need and want relationally, if I just want somebody, it's optional,
Yes.
meaning that it can be I can take it or leave it. And I'm wondering if that has to do with the concept of infidelity. Because when you need somebody versus you just want them, with the wanting, you'll take more risk. If I need you in my life, and I definitely believe that I am the better for your presence in my life, I'm not going to be taking as many risks of
Yeah,
the probability of losing you.
absolutely. I think that and we could play with this, right? I'm sure guys, I'm sure that women that's out there that I've met guys that said, I need you. I need you in my life. I need you.
Mhm.
Have probably tried to propose to you too. Now, bear with me. But the ones I was like, yo, I want this girl, probably just wanted a one night stand, wanted to get off and then keep it going. Or
Mhm.
maybe just infatuated by you because I want you. So I think there's a strong differences. Need, meaning don't want to let you go,
Mhm.
want to secure you, and want, oh, I just want a good time and then I'm keeping it moving. I don't know. A lot of guys that need, oh man, I need this girl in my life. I need this girl. Usually secure her. And a lot of times women run away from that. Oh, this guy, he just too needy, too needy.
But you know what? I think that's the difference and you know what too? There's another concept of thinking too when we talk about need, what type of relationship are you in need of? Because every man doesn't want to be a husband and every woman
True,
doesn't want to be a wife. So
true,
I think that's another thing that you have to contemplate when we talk about needing and wanting is what kind of relationship do you really need in your life? It may not be the need for a spouse. It may just be like you were talking about earlier, the need for companionship, but they don't want a spouse. So they have a need for that person in their space just for the sole purpose of companionship. And it may be a lot of longevity because I know some individuals who have been in relationships for many years and they're not legally married and they have no intentions on marrying, but they're faithful and they're committed to each other. And they've been in this relationship for a long time. So they have a need for the relationship, they have a need for the companionship, but they don't have a need to
true,
actually be married. They don't believe, or whatever the case might be. Maybe they had a failed marriage in times past, whatever their case might be. So I think it's important that we identify what type of relationship a person needs before we start diving in. Because if we find ourselves with somebody relationally and that person doesn't have the same need for the type of relationship that we need, therein lies another problem. Because we're going to all have the attraction element when we first meet somebody. That's just common sense. I meet you, boy meets girl, girl meets boy. I'm attracted to you, you're attracted to me. I think you're handsome, you think I'm pretty, whatever, whatever. Whatever that pheromonal energy is that drove us to each other or caused us to be attracted to each other. But that's not going to be enough to sustain any kind of partnership, especially once we identify what that person is really after. You made a great point when you were talking about when a guy meets a girl and or a lady, and he's like, "Hey, I need her," versus "I want that girl." And it's funny because I have heard that statement before, and when my in my yesteryears, I didn't quite get it until I got a little bit more mature, and I was like, "Oh, he had a yeah, he want is short term in most instances.
Yes.
Need is long term." So when a guy says, "Oh, I want you." Okay, uh-huh, you want me. So what does that translate into? And normally it is short term. It's not long term. So I think it's important for us to listen to what a person is saying. And that goes from both genders. There's some women out there that will say, "Hey, I want him," but there is no need for him. She doesn't have a need for him to fulfill in her life because let's face it, if a guy does not feel needed, he's out the door anyway. We will
I
stay. If we don't feel needed, we will stay. But a guy is not staying somewhere where he's not needed.
need it. That's true. And wants and needs change too over time.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, the older we get, we hitting 60, 70. That need
Mhm.
sometimes ain't there for that particular thing anymore.
Correct. Correct, and it might not be all that. I mean, I know some very vibrant older people that are doing the dang thing, and then I know some older people that have to have support in some way, shape, or form. So I like that you brought that up. As we maturate, our desire and our needs do change, especially And then there's another thing too when you talk about need. That you might be dealing with somebody that's well established. Well, they don't
Yep.
have a need for any kind of financial support. So everything that they're going to require from you is going to be intangible. It's not going to ever be
Ab-
tangible. Nothing that they're requiring from you is going to come with a tangible price tag attached to it. It's going to be the intangibles that that person is after. So that's another thing to contemplate where a person is in life. Where
yeah.
are they in their life's journey? What is it that they're going to be requiring? And we got to look at it from the tomorrow aspect because I
Right.
think a lot of times when we meet somebody, Taylor, we're looking at this moment.
Yep.
This moment is right here. You and me, we vibe and we're good. We're this, that, and the other. We're looking at this thing in this moment, but that's not the bigger picture.
No, it's funny that you brought that up because yeah, you're right. We're looking for the now, the quick fix, the easy. I've been hurt by the last person, and I need that void to fill, right?
Right.
And so I just find something really fast, and I'm good. Or maybe I'm going through some issues, and I'm losing some of my stuff, so I need somebody to kind of secure that for me, right? I
Mm.
mean, let's just call it what. Let's just talk
Absolutely. Call the spade a spade.
real, right? So, I mean, sometimes we just jump into things,
Mhm.
and hope for the best.
Whatever that means. Whatever that means. Because sometimes it ain't no best outcome with that kind of stuff. And that's another thing too, when you think about it, this is why the need has to be past the what's the word I want to use? Past the imminent thing that's right now, the right now. Because if you think about it, if I need something in this moment right now and that need gets fulfilled, then my desire for you is going to go when that need is met. That's
Ab-
another thing to consider as well. When we talk about being needed versus wanted, needed for what? An immediate
Exactly.
situation, or are you
Absolutely.
looking at it from the need of this specific person being in your life for the long haul because of the value that they add to your life? And that's another thing to consider because if a person is in a situation where somebody has this rescuer personality and they just feel like they got to rescue them. Well, a lot of times with that rescue, once
Yes,
that lifeline has been given out and they take that lifeline and they pull to safety, well, there's no need for you then.
absolutely. And it's not always a bad thing because say two people get married at a younger age, say
Mhm,
about 26 years old, right?
mhm,
They're just kind of getting the groove and getting into their careers, right?
mhm,
And let's just say the woman, right? She's looking for a guy that is a provider, right?
mhm,
Now
mhm,
maybe she became an entrepreneur and started her own business or worked for a company where she's making now double and triple the amount of money that um, he was making
mhm,
providing for her, right?
mhm,
So
mhm.
so that need of being provided for, and kind of reverses now, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And sometimes that causes problems because sometimes men need a woman to depend on them, right? And vice versa. So what happens when now that role switch? And it's not purposeful.
Mhm.
It's just this is how life sometimes happen, where, and I'm not saying roles switch. I'm not saying that now the
Right.
woman is the guy
Right.
as a woman,
Right.
but their situation, their
Right.
finances reverse,
Right.
right?
Right.
But like you said, there's other things that you need each other for.
Mhm.
Maybe now, yeah, she don't need you to be the provider, but you're still the man in a relationship. You still provide.
Mhm.
Yeah, it does, and this is where it gets tricky, right? And that's why sometimes it's, this is my money and my this. But
Mhm.
if you guys are together, it should be both you guys, and like I said, every situation is different, every relationship is different. I'm
Mhm.
not saying put all your money in a pot, but I'm just saying, like, you guys are both benefiting from the finances if you guys are together, right?
Mhm.
And so, it takes a really humble and um, person that is really secure and have some really good values to say, you know what, I'm a millionaire. I'm a millionaire. But if I sit down with my wife and she feels that this is not a good idea, I can say, you
I'm
know
still
what,
gonna respect her wishes. Absolutely.
1000%,
Right. Right.
knowing that I
Right.
can just snap my fingers and get whatever I want and
Correct.
overstep her at any given time.
Right. Right. And see, and that's another thing too. And I love that you brought that up. I was coaching a client once, and he shared with me. He said I can't handle having a woman that makes significant amount of money more than me. He said, I can't handle it. And I said, why? He said,
Why?
because internally, my desire is to fulfill the purpose of provision. And I said, well, you can still be a provider. So he's like, no, I can't. If I am with somebody and they are significantly more, they have they have more resources accessible to them. They don't really have a need for me, and I have to have that need in a relationship. I have to have that need to be able to be the provider. And I was like, but there's so many other things. He's like, no, I can't do it. It's just not who I am. And I said, well, I am glad that you understand that, which means that you're going to have to identify what it is you want as far as relationally when it comes to identifying that woman. Because if you are dealing with a woman who is bent on go getting, I have a friend right now. This girl has failed at several businesses, but she literally will get back up and try something else, get back up and try. She just keeps going until she said, one of these is going to work, period. One of these at some point in my life, because I am constantly taking the baton, it falls, I pick it up, I take it out, pick it up. And I said, if you're dealing with a woman who is a go-giver, go-getter, however you want to identify her, if you're dealing with a woman like that, she may be down for a minute, but that girl's going to come out swinging, and she's going to be pursuing. She's going to constantly be pursuing, and she's not going to pursue with the intent of a limitation over her head to say, oh, there's a ceiling, I can't go past this. That's not going to be her mindset. So I said, you're going to have to consider dealing with a woman who is good in a specific position to where maybe she's a lifer, one of those employee lifers, to where she wants to be in this one career for the balance of her days and stuff like that. You got to find somebody that is inside of that equation so that you won't have conflict later. You cannot have a woman who is a go-getter. It's not going to work for you,
Mm,
because at the end of the day, it's going to be a conflict, because her mind is not going to be on, well, let me just cap out right here. He said he didn't want me to make more than this, or more than that. Da, 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 da. No, then that's not the woman for you. It may be everything else that you want out of her. She may be a phenomenal person, have a great personality. You guys get along so well. Everything about her is spot on. But the dilemma is going to show up when that girl starts making that kind of money, because that's not what you desire. You want it to be a provider. And I think that's so many different things come up when you think about need and want in a relationship. And I don't think, Taylor, that we really contemplate the full gamut of what that looks like relationally. We kind of take this or take that, take this or take that, but we don't look at the full gamut of what that really translates into relationally. We don't really sit and really contemplate what
Right.
is it that, I especially when it comes to a guy, you see this chick, she's absolutely stunning, beautiful girl, just a phenomenal woman, because men are more, they allege that men are more into aesthetics than women are. I disagree with that. However, I do feel like a woman will be a little bit more lenient aesthetic wise when it comes to a guy, but a guy tends to not give that kind of grace if he's looking for specific aesthetics. But if a guy meets this girl, she's got those aesthetics and she just has everything, that the physicality and all that good stuff, and she's smart and she's intelligent, da, 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 da. But just imagine if that's that guy who says that I want to be the provider. I do not want to deal with a woman that's going to earn more than me. Well, this woman's got everything you want, but at the end of the day, if it's in her heart to go after, financial independence and that liberation, you're not going to be able to cap her out, and it's going to be a problem later on.
Oh, absolutely. I think that it's man, when it comes to people, we no one's perfect, you
No.
know, and I think sometimes people are looking for perfection in each other,
Mhm.
and like you said, right now, um, it's getting to know the individual and knowing what they
Mhm.
want and having these conversations in the beginning.
Absolutely.
We can, to be honest with you, you can save a lot of time just asking the right questions
Mhm.
in the beginning. Now you might
Mhm.
say, well, what is the right questions? Because I have so many questions. Well,
They all right then.
what is your need? Well, let's ask the questions of your
Right.
needs. Who cares
Right.
about your wants? Yeah,
Right.
everybody want a six figure. Okay, great. Do you need a person to make six figures? Do you need? I mean, do
Mhm.
we need,
Mhm.
or is that we want? Because there's a
Mhm.
lot of people that make $80,000 and is doing very well.
Right.
There's people that are making 90 that's doing very well. There's people that are making 50 and is doing very well, right?
Very
Because
true.
the thing is, sometimes we look at the need. Well, I need somebody to make X amount of dollars. We don't know how much they have from generational wealth. We don't know
Correct.
how much they have saved up. They could
Mhm.
have, just because the need, you're looking at it right now. And that's what I'm saying. But how do you know these things? By
Mhm.
having a conversation, right? And getting to know the person and kind of, learning from your mistakes. And yeah, these are the things I needed, but did it pan out for you?
Mhm.
Right? Because you're still looking. So if you're still looking, then why don't you just look for what you need and not what you want?
Right.
Because at the end of the day, coffee, what I realize is that a lot of things that I need materialistically, if we're
Mhm.
looking at materialistically, now that I think of it, I don't need it. It was
Mhm.
a want. It's
Mhm.
not a need.
Mhm.
um and so the needs I need to put my focus on. I need somebody to be honest with me.
Mhm.
you know um I need somebody, like you said, I need somebody to be there to listen, right? I need affection. I need somebody to be a go-getter, right? These are the things I need. Not, yeah, do I want somebody to be a 10? Yeah, 100%. Do I need somebody to be a 10? I don't.
Right. And that's true because listen, something can happen and that person go from a 10 to a 4. Then what?
A 10 to a
Then what?
0.
Right.
10 to a
Then
0.
what? They don't have that same aesthetics. Something happened, God forbid. And we're not
Yeah.
suggesting that something's gonna happen to your person and nothing like that. We're just saying it from a realistic standpoint. Things happen, life happens, and you just don't know. Interestingly enough, I saw a guy in the airport and I recognized him. He's he used to play football for, and I don't remember what team because so many people were trying to connect with him, so I didn't try to talk to him, but I couldn't remember what team he played for, but he lost his leg. He had lost his leg. And everybody was talking to him, trying to, say, ask him what he was doing now and whatever, whatever. But just imagine, your guy is out there on that football field. He's bringing in all this money, doing some phenomenal things in the industry, and something happens and he loses a limb. Like, what in the world, So are you going to walk away from him because now he don't have all that going on like he used to? He's not sexy as he was, and he not doing all this and that. Now he has a different need and some things have happened. Are you going to abandon ship? Are you going to be okay with that? So I think a lot of times when it comes to relationships, we have to really, really think through all of these things. Anything can happen. We do not know what the future holds. We desire for the future to play out in a specific way, and it would be absolutely fantastic if that were the case. If it played out in a specific way, and
Yes.
we could just say, "Man, I'm just so excited that my life played out in this particular specific way," but we can't guarantee that things are going to happen in that specific manner. So we got to be able to say, you know what? It didn't happen the way I wanted it to happen. I was hoping that A, B, C, D, E, F, G was going to transpire with you and I, but it didn't play out that way. It didn't happen that way. So now here it is that we got to deal with what our new reality is, because the reality is going to change. Anything, like I said, anything can happen, and it
Yes.
can change the whole trajectory of your relationship. Then what?
Yeah. And then reality hits, right?
Listen, that reality check can be a hard one. If you're not too careful, it can be a hard one. And I think a lot of times too, we go into the relationship with all these hopes and dreams and and adorations and all that. And don't get me wrong, I want you to go into the relationship with hopes and dreams and adoration. However, I want you to always keep
Yes.
your mind open to the fact that life can happen,
Yes.
can happen. And with that life happening, you got to still be able to have that full cup of love that you initially had for that individual, because they're going to need that cup to be full while they have to deal with whatever it is they have to deal with walking alongside you in the journey.
Mm-hmm.
Because if that cup gets empty, it says a lot about who you are as an individual.
It really does. I
Yeah.
think, like I said, this is a very important topic to discuss
Mhm.
because we deal with this every single day. I mean, if you
Absolutely.
really sit down and write the things that you need and the things that you want, and not only with relationship, with every area of your life,
Mhm.
you will be surprised. Wow, do I really need this $250,000 car
Yeah.
that that's taken away from my house?
And and you got to be honest, you got to be really honest about what your needs really
Absolutely.
are, because I mean, I tell people all the time, I I coffee, I'm not going to be able to be with somebody that doesn't exercise. I don't care if they're this big or this big. It doesn't matter to me.
Mm,
Exercise is very, very important to me. So for
yes.
me to sit here and say that I'm willing to be in a relationship with somebody who doesn't exercise, I would be lying. That would be a lot. So what that means is, tomorrow, if I find somebody and they are this big and they don't exercise, I still got to be true to what it is I say that I need.
Absolutely.
We can't switch up because this person showed up, because that means that you're not true to yourself. You're not being honest
Absolutely.
or true to you. Forget being honest and true to them. You're not being honest and true to you. So we got to be able to stick and stand by what it is that we say we need to have in order to have a phenomenal relationship. We cannot go around lying because somebody showed up that has the other things that we had on our list. And then too, Taylor, we can't have a list that's not realistic.
True.
So when I say that I want somebody to exercise, I exercise. So a lot of things that we say, we got to be able to be the person that we say we want to meet.
100%. You got to talk the talk and walk the walk. Because at the end of the day, 5 years later,
Mhm. Mhm. Absolutely.
the
'Cause
person's
that
gonna the
they
person.
gonna bring it back. They gonna come back to you with it.
Oh,
They gonna come on back with absolutely. They gonna say, "Hey, I thought when we got together, you said that this was a requirement. Now here it is. Fast forward, we're living our life like it's golden, but you're not true to what you say you had to have and what you said needed to transpire in the relationship. So what's up? What's
or
really
not
going
only that, like after a while, it's gonna piss you off because you wanted somebody that exercise, and every day they don't exercise, and then something's gonna spark, and this person gonna get a little big in this area, or what have you, and or better yet, you're gonna be going to the gym, and they're gonna make a comment about you always going to the gym, and then boom,
it's gonna be some problem somewhere
there
because
is.
it's going to spark a conversation. And like you said, it may not be the most healthy conversation to have, but it's gonna definitely spark a conversation, most definitely, because it's gonna be like, hey, listen, now here it is, you still out here doing your thing, and now I'm feeling kind of insecure because now you still out there getting it in, and I'm sitting up here at the house looking at you. Well, no, that ain't gonna work because you were getting it in when we got together. And that's something else too, that we have to make sure that we maintain
Mhm.
what it is that we say throughout the course of a relationship too, because you want to be trustworthy. People have a
Absolutely.
tendency not to be able to trust you if you keep changing your mind. It's like, come
Mhm.
on now, either you're gonna do it or you're not. You can't go back and forth vacillating. Like today you're like, oh, I want to do this, and then tomorrow I want to do that. No, if you do that, then you're not trustworthy. And that's another thing too when it comes to relationships, you got to be 100% trustworthy. So if you say you need this, then need it. If you say you want this, then want it. But don't go around going, vacillating every time I turn around. You like a your rubber net. Every time I turn around, you going instead of going straight ahead. I gotta be trying to figure you out if you're gonna, wobble your way back to something else different than what it is you say that you gotta have in the relationship.
I totally agree. I second everything that you just said.
Yeah, because relationships, I mean, and I
Absolutely.
always tell people relationships are not hard unless you make them hard.
Make it
Relationships should be a complement to your life, not chaos.
right, and that's why you gotta find. Like I said, you gotta find a person for you. Because if you
Absolutely.
find a person for you, then yeah, it's a breeze. But
Absolutely.
if you find somebody that is not for you, then it's gonna be difficult. It's gonna
Absolutely.
be hard. You're gonna have, I mean, it's
It's gonna be all kind of challenges
it's
that
gonna
arise
be a
if you
challenges. Yeah.
absolutely. And that's important, when you say that, you gotta be able to pick and choose, especially for a person that you're taking this journey with. There's two decisions that are gonna be extremely important in your life, and that's your spirituality and the person that you choose to partner with along your natural journey. So those are two major things that are going to happen in your life that you're gonna have to really contemplate and consider what it is and who it is you want to do this with. Because at the end of the day, when the decision is made, it should be no turning back, even though we know people turn back every day, but it should be a no turn back type of decision. Like I made this decision for us and with you, and I want to be there for us and with you
Yeah, absolutely. And I think and if you're making a decision on emotions, you're gonna hit your head.
every time. Every time. Not only you're gonna hit your head, you gonna yeah, that's not gonna work. You gotta be able to make logical choices
Illogical.
and logical
Absolutely.
decisions. And I hate to say this, but usually after we cross that physicality, it's gonna be very difficult to be logical.
True. No, true.
So we gotta be able to know what it is that we know before we make that conscious choice to swap DNA with somebody's son or daughter. That DNA swap will make you, especially if it's a good DNA swap, you might not be thinking straight about a whole lot
Lo-
of things. If that, you know what I mean? If that DNA swap is, I'm just saying, you might not be clear at all anymore. Hey, I'm just telling the truth, Taylor.
It's
You
the truth.
laughing, but you know I'm telling the truth tonight.
No,
I'm
it's
telling the
true.
truth.
No, it's true. That's I think for me, there's three areas. There is the DNA swap.
Hmm.
There is if you're trying to follow your heart,
Here we go with that. Okay.
and there is the financial aspect. And I think
Hmm.
people get blinded on the materialistic things, what you can get or give you.
Right.
You follow in your heart or the DNA swap. Those three things, if you
Right.
go after those three things, you're going into a disaster.
Yeah, because that heart is very iffy. The heart has issues itself. Even
Yeah.
the greatest book known to humans, that heart thing is it's kind of iffy. Yeah. But you make a good point because, we get super attached. There's a company right now that is in the middle of being dissolved, and it's a financial company. And so many people put their resources into this particular company, and now they won't be able to get their money back. So imagine if I've gotten some of my most of my money invested in this one area, and then I got a mate over here who was leaning into those
Yeah.
resources. Now those resources are gone. Are you gonna go with the money? You gonna be out the door because
Yeah.
we don't have the access that we had. And of course, it was no fault of my own. It just so happened, that this particular financial entity, it just like anything else, it went belly up. So now here it is. I don't have those resources that I had before. You gonna roll?
Mm-hmm.
And then when you talk about the heart, well, some days I might not feel like I love you. I might not
True.
feel like you this and that and the other. You gonna dip because of that,
Mm,
and so it's you're right. It's so many different things to contemplate and consider when it comes to wants and needs in a relationship. And we have to be mature when it comes to making the decision to partner with someone and be fair to that person. I have a friend that is just one of my friends is I don't feel like this particular individual goes hard as they could go. But we talk about it all the time, and I'm always edifying and encouraging. And I think to myself, we have to remain friends because I can't deal with somebody that I got to keep edifying and encouraging. That's not going to work for me. Now, somebody else, that may be the thing that they need, that may be their need thing where they have to be with somebody that they can edify and they can encourage. No, I need somebody that's going to get up out the bed because you got to get out the bed, and then go do it because it's got to get done. And I don't need to have to say anything to you in regards to that. Not to say that the individual is not a bad person, none of that stuff. The person, they're very consistent in their life. They're just not going after what they've said they want to go after.
mm,
So, when you're dealing with somebody like that and you're in a relationship,
mm-hmm.
I have a need for you to do what you said you was going to
True.
do.
Oh, true.
Yes, and it's gonna be it would have been a fight, you know what I mean? So, like, and we can't emphasize this enough. You gotta know emphatically what it is that you need and want in a relationship, because think about it from this perspective. A need is not negotiable, a want is. So if I'm in need of something specific, and it cannot be a temporary need, it has to be something that will last throughout the course of the partnership. So
Yes.
you can't go by something that's happening right now.
Yeah.
Like, say for instance, I got to get my light bill paid. Okay, that's an immediate situation. Okay. However, we need to know about the need that says it's going to be in existence for as long as you live, like a need to be respected, that kind of thing. So you got to think about what your need is, and this has to be a life need. It cannot be temporal. Can't be temporal.
No, absolutely. You're spot on. I think that we have to understand what is our needs and our wants. I mean, we got to go back to the basics. Basics is what's your needs and your wants, and then find somebody that can complement your needs and your wants. I mean,
Absolutely.
you can have them both. You can have the things that you want and the things that you need. You can.
You
I
can
mean,
have it
you can
all.
go after it, yeah. But
Absolutely.
the other person, if you're including somebody else in that picture, then that person have to be, kind of similar.
Correct.
You might want this, and I might be like, you know what, it don't really matter to me. Cool.
Mhm.
You
And
know?
it has to be mutual. It can't be one-sided to where that person, they're getting everything that they want out of the equation and the reciprocity is not there. So, like Taylor said, it's gotta be on both ends of the spectrum. It cannot be a one-sided journey. It's gotta be both you and myself. This is what we need, this is what we want, and we gotta be on that same type trajectory because it's gonna be too difficult to get those needs and wants met if you're on an island of difference, a mass island of difference where it's just so many it's just so different and it's not coinciding in any capacity at all. We don't cross any kind of parallel on the journey. That is where you're going to have major, major relationship problems for sure.
No, absolutely. And that's why when I'm talking to couples, compromising,
Mhm.
both people have to win. It's not
Absolutely.
you
You better
win
say it again.
and I
That's a
don't
fact.
win because, oh,
Right.
I compromised for you. No, it don't work like that.
Now it's going to be both
We
sides. Absolutely.
yeah, we compromised, right?
For
So,
each other, for
um,
both of us to get our
anyway,
needs met.
that's another dive.
Look, that's a whole nother show. Well, listen, we have come to the top of the hour. It's been a phenomenal
Yes.
conversation. We've had over 400 people to hop in through TikTok this evening. So thank you guys so much. That's becoming a larger platform for us. And we're so excited about those
Absolutely.
relationships that we're forging on the TikTok platform. So we're super excited. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, tapping in. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe.
Yes.
Our email addresses, not our email, I'm sorry, our websites have been previously posted on the broadcast so you know how to connect and catch up to us and holler at us if you're in need, you need some coaching, you want us to give you some strategies to add value to where you are and where you're headed. We are here for it all. So you can just click on those links or connect with us. Just hit us in the DM. It doesn't even matter how you connect with us, but connect with us and see if we can't add value to you on your journey. And we appreciate you guys hopping in and hanging out with us. Taylor, if you do you have anything final you want to say to these amazing people before we head out for the night?
No, absolutely. Look, remember when it comes to relationships, and you could use this in every area of your life, right? People are different. You got to remember that, right? And you have to feel people out. You have to figure it's no different than your boss, right? You figure out what the
Absolutely.
boss likes. It's no different than a person that you're interested in. Figure
Mhm.
out what they like.
Right.
And sometimes your boss want to feel right, right? So what you do, you edify your boss,
Right.
not edify the person that you're talking to, right? Pick out the things that they do very well and let them know, hey, you know what? You did this very well.
Right.
I'm gonna always leave on a lighter note, right?
Listen, on a
Because
light note.
on this topic was deep, and like you said, we supposed to have fun. So if you're looking for somebody, have fun, find out those information of your needs, and then you could share your wants, but the most important thing is your needs. And if they don't match your needs, then it's time to find somebody else.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, you heard it. You heard it here first. Sometimes you gotta cut that umbilical cord, honey, and
Yeah,
find you somebody else to connect to.
absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, Taylor, thanks so much for being on the show tonight. I appreciate you guys. This has been the hot seat featuring my guy, Taylor Made Speaks. We'll catch you guys next week, same bad time, same bad channel for another edition of the hot seat. Until then, God bless and double shalom. Good night, everybody.
Good
Grace,
night.
peace, and blessings. Well, Taylor, we're out of here. Good night, everybody.